Oh, Patty, you got a new short block.
Oh yeah. Brand spanking new.
Brand spanking. It's even got the goo on it.
Oh yeah, fresh out of the factory. They put
Oh.
grease and oil on to keep everything from rusting because they don't know how long they're going to sit in the factory.
Yeah.
So they put that on there and put a piece of cardboard over it with some bolts in it, hold it down on there.
Sweet.
Oh yeah. Start swapping over fittings and studs and stuff in the old short block and clean up all that stuff up top and start dressing it.
All right. Well, we'll see how far you get. Me and Josh are going to go play with tractors out in the field.
Yeah, I heard. That sounds scary.
Another 95-20 down.
Well, get this one done. We'll be bringing that in.
All right, man. See you later.
See you.
There it is, Josh. Right here?
Yep.
We got a wounded soldier out here. She no longer runs. She's not happy. We'll get her back to life. Okay, so we're out here on the prairie. It's a bit windy, I apologize, but it is what it is. We got the hood in service position here. Now what's going on with this tractor, Saturday Josh was working on it and I was kind of being tech support on the phone, but it would start and die. Sometimes it would run, sometimes it would die, but it kind of acted like it was running out of fuel. Whenever he was cranking it though, he was getting an active ECU code for the low side driver circuit for injector 5
Yep.
was shorted to ground. So the diagnostics had led us to replace, or had led us to go into the rocker cover to inspect the injection harness. So that's what we're tearing into this morning so we can get to that injector harness and test the wires in the injection harness. But we did bring a new injection harness. And what else did we bring? We got the rocker cover gaskets to be able to go back together. So that is what we're going after now. Sorry, I can't talk. So we blew the engine off. Now we got to get this turbine interstage pipe out. We're going to get that pipe out, get the rocker covers off to where we can get into that injection harness. Pipe is deleted. Get this gasket off here. All right. Well,
This bracket.
that guy's gonna screw our world up.
Yeah.
We have to get that off. That's new.
Mm-hmm. And we got that guy and this guy.
All right. And I got to get this heat shield off right here. Oh, this guy's got to come off. The rocker cover's off. And that blue looking harness is our injection harness. And we got number 5 unplugged, but we're not seeing any visual damages or here I am to fix me's yet. So we're going to have to dive into a little more electrical testing and see what we come up with. So we went from pin 2, so you went from this one right here, Josh?
Yep, top left.
Yeah, so we went from pin 2 to frame ground, and the resistance was less than 100,000 ohms. We had 25.9 thousand ohms. So next step on the diagnostic list is replace injection harness. So we've got to get all these little 5mm Allens out, and then there's a clip on the back of the head that always breaks in there. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. We got to get that out, and then we'll fish this whole injection harness out that hole in the back. Okay, so I lied. It actually, you pull a clip off the back of the head and the harness goes this way. So pull that bad boy out of there, Josh. Maybe.
Maybe. It's got to catch on everything.
Catch on everything. But that first injector was a bear to get unplugged. We actually had, Josh had to use a 90-degree pick, extra long, go underneath, hook the tab, lift up on it, and then I used an extra long double jointed needle nose plier to grab it, and then he depressed the button and then I pulled it off with the needle nose pliers.
There's the tab that we're going after that's laying like that in the bottom.
Yeah, so you had to hook that just right, and then I had to pull it off with pliers.
So there's your injection harness.
Yeah, that's supposedly bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll plug a new one in and do a harness test and see what it does.
Don't need that where we're going.
Did you get it in the hole? You might have to lube that O-ring, Josh. Did it go?
It's in.
It's in?
In.
I gotta put the clip of doom in.
Yes. Yes, you do. Here is said clip of doom.
Oh man. This clip here. We don't get along
No.
at all.
No.
Alright, I guess I'll do it if I have to. Okay, well, we got the new injection harness in, and I did the harness test, and it still sets the same code. Stop code, I mean, the display's screaming, she's mad. So we followed the diagnostics to the T. So what we did first was you disconnect the injection harness, you do a terminal check, so you make sure there's no loose terminals, damaged terminals, like the wire's not coming out, anything like that. That'll look cherry. So then it has you check an address for the needle control spill valve diagnostic voltage. Is it less than 0.1 volts? Yes, it was. It tells you to inspect the injector harness. So we removed the rock covers, inspected the injection harness. Didn't see no physical damage, so we went ahead, and then it has you unplug injector 5 and then go from pin 2 to ground. Is resistance less than 100,000 ohms? Yes, it was. It was at 25,000, so it says to replace injection harness. Okay, so we replaced the injection harness, still same problem. So this is the point in the diagnostics where sometimes the diagnostics don't lead you to a failure, and you've got to be smart enough to outsmart the diagnostics and figure it out on your own. So here's my thoughts. So it never told us to have the engine harness separated from the injection harness when you're testing the short to ground. So that still leaves the engine harness and the ECU for a possible short to ground, right? Mm-hmm. But we unplugged the injector 5 and the stop code goes away and it just sets a different 0.05 code instead of a 0.04. So my thoughts is we have a new injector, so we're going to plug the new injector in and run the harness test, and if the codes go away, then we know the problem is a short injector. Now you can do a resistance check to the injector, but there's no way you're getting meter leads in there.
No.
It ain't happening. There's just not enough. You can't do it. So plugging in a new injector would tell us whether or not the short's in the injector. Maybe the diagnostics are wrong about the test was short, from pin 2 to frame ground in the resistance spec. I don't know. But I know it's probably either the injector or the engine harness or the ECU. Mm-hmm. So
process elimination.
We're going to process elimination here. It's easy to plug in a new injector, run the test. If it doesn't have a code after that, then we know it needs an injector, and then hopefully at that point we can just unplug injector 5, put everything all back together, start it up, hopefully it runs. I mean, it'll just be missing on one cylinder, but I'm not pulling the whole entire rocker box and rocker arms and the fixed turbo and the bracket and everything out here in the wind in the field. It's just not an easy task to do, and we're really not that far from the shop. So I want to get it running to where we can just get this thing on a trailer, get it back to the shop to where we can fix it right. That's best case scenario, probably,
Probably, yeah.
on that, if it is the injector. So if we plug the injector in and it doesn't fix it, then we're going to unplug the main connector from the ECU, and we're going to check the wires for that injector from the ECU to the injection harness connectors and see if we have a short to ground. Now, I really hope it's not that, because we can't get an engine harness. No one, Deere doesn't have no stock, can't get one. So really hope it's not that. But if we don't have a short to ground in the engine harness, that only leaves one thing, and that's an ECU. Now, we can get an ECU today from our other dealership in Assumption, so we could get a new ECU if we needed to. So that's the thought process I have in my head right now. So what we're going to do is plug this new injector in and see if it fixes it. All right, so we got a brand new injector here. I'm leaving it in the bag. I just kind of poke the connector through so Josh can get it plugged in and plug this in and do the harness test again. There you go. I just left it back there. Well, that didn't fix it. It's still mad. Step 2. Okay, so we unplugged the ECU connectors for the engine harness. Redid our test up there. Went from pin 2 to frame ground, and it's OL. That means there is no short to ground. Through the injection harness all the way back to here, I'm assuming when we plug this back in, it'll be 25,000 ohms. So that tells me we need to try an ECU, because if we unplug the ECU and we still had a short to ground, I would think we'd have a problem in the engine harness. But with it unplugged, our short to ground goes away. So we're going to get an ECU and replace that and see what happens. So we drove about 24 minutes to the main HQ of Sloan Implement here in Assumption, Illinois. And yep, there is green iron everywhere, Josh. Everywhere.
This is just their front lot.
Yeah. Where to park?
Yep.
Sure. Alright, let's go get an ECU. Well, we're back, and the wind didn't stop.
No,
It got worse, I think.
it did.
So, here's the ECU right here. We've got a new ECU, so what we need to do is we had to hook it back up, because I'm going to go in and I'm going to pull the information off this old ECU, and then when it's ready, he'll tell me connect the new ECU. We'll connect the new one, and then we'll program the new one, and then we'll see what happens. This is actually a fuel cooled ECU. You've got fuel lines coming in and out of that engine controller, so we're gonna have to take off these fuel lines right there. Probably gonna have to delete this shield off of here so we can maybe get in there a little better to get to the bolts and the fuel lines and stuff. So we're gonna go through the process of replacing the ECU, and then we'll see if it fixed it. All right, so we programmed the new ECU successfully. I only had to restart my computer twice and redo the payload. Try to install it 3 times before it took it, but it finally went. And I know some of the other John Deere guys will know what I'm talking about, but we finally got the ECU to program, and now there are no codes. I redid the harness test, which actuates everything on the engine, moves all the outputs, checks all the circuits that it possibly can, and now there are no codes. So I think we got her whipped, and now we're just going to put the rest of the engine back together, you know, the rocker covers and the pipe for the turbo, get that all back on, and I think it's about time for time-lapse and some music maybe? Sure. All right, Josh, fire it up. She's alive. No codes or nothing?
Codes.
Fired right up.
It did.
So how happy are
That
you?
Saturday, I'll tell you.
How happy are you now?
Lots. Way better.
ECU was the easiest thing to actually repair.
Yeah.
Easier than injector, easier than the engine harness. So, and we could get the part today.
Yeah.
So now we just got to get the hood back down, the shield's on, and call a customer and tell him he can run.
Yep.
So where are you at with her, Patty?
Well, back reassembling. We're at a stopping point right now, waiting on the cylinder head to get back from the machine shop. But got the new short block and everything we can bolt on it right now on it. So everything set that we have on it at this point in time.
You're as far as you can go without a head.
Basically, yeah. Still got a lot of engine parts to put back on, but get a cylinder head and be able to rock and roll.
Yeah. But you decided to tear off another cylinder head.
Mm-hmm. On another 9520R.
Well, let's go look at that.
Yeah.
You just love engine carnage, don't you, Patty?
Oh, man. It's every day, man. So, we got another 9520.
Another one.
Basically, down to where we're at over there. Just still got some of the stuff on it like that you would have when it's still assembled in the tractor.
Mm-hmm.
Head gasket failure, possible cracked cylinder head.
Uh-oh.
You just have to see once the head shop says anything. But, yeah.
So we had coolant in the EGR cooler, and I put an EGR cooler on it, and then it was losing coolant again. And there was coolant in the EGR cooler again, but it wasn't coming from the cooler. It was coming out of the exhaust ports.
Yes.
And then we did a little bit more diving and figured out that the head gasket was bad.
Between cylinders 3 and 4, it looked like right between the fire rings, you could see where soot was coming through.
Gotcha.
So
you just got engine parts everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's the head. She's ready to get shipped out. Where was that?
So you can see it like right there. See where we've got like probably some small pinholes or something. You see something definitely right there. There's like a divot in there. And you flip it over. See how these all have like something right, the gasket in between the firing and stuff. Well, this one's been blowed out more, and it was actually stuck. Like, see, you can really see it right here and there. It was more so stuck in between the.
That's strange, because usually these you have the problems in between 1 and 2 and 5 and 6, because that's where those sealed head bolts go into. Interesting. I wonder. We'll have to wait and see what the machine shop says about that head. So yeah, you guys got all kinds of engine carnage. Awesome.
Fun stuff. Simple timing cover gasket.
It started out as a simple timing cover gasket,
Yeah.
and then it escalated quickly.
It escalated real quick.
Oh boy.
Ended up having to do
A320R Tier 3 8R. Oh, so the timing cover gasket wasn't sealing, but when you take the timing cover gasket off, it takes the.
There's the pan gasket there. This is the new one. I just got it in.
Perfect. Because it's got to have that little rubber strip.
Yep, little right there.
So the rubber strip was gone. These things are bad about not sealing back up, and it's just safe practice to just pick the engine up and slide a new pan gasket in. So she work okay? The A-frame?
Yeah, it worked pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No problems?
No,
It did pick it up pretty good.
it did. It did.
Yeah, it didn't even struggle.
No.
Well, right on. So Josh is getting that guy finished up, and then I've got a 9510R that I'm going to be pulling the engine out of and replacing the timing cover because the bearing cup for where the fan drive goes in is wore out, and the fan drive shaft wobbles in the bore. So we're going to pull the engine out, take the timing cover off and the oil pan off, reseal all that, and get that engine back in. So we'll probably have some more content on the 9510 here. All right, well, that's going to do it for this video, ZK Master Tech, and until next time, keep that green iron moving.